Welcome to the Bible Breakdown. It's a black man and woman in America who no longer identify as believers. This show contains adult languages, themes, and isn't meant for children. As black people, we respect the history of the black church in America, but its current state is massively abusive, and we think the Bible might be part of the problem. Listen and let us know what you think. Peace. Welcome back to another episode of the Bible Breakdown. I'm your host, Kat.
And I'm TK.
Hello, TK. How are you doing, sir?
I'm a little down.
Wow, that was a very honest response. I appreciate that. What's got you down?
People never show me the same grace that I would show them. I feel like I'm forgiving, and most of the people I run across are not as forgiving or understanding. Which makes me sad.
Yeah, that's a big part of life. People don't like hearing that they're not the hero.
I certainly don't.
I think that was one of my favorite things about Dan Harmon. For people, if you don't know who that is, he's a writer. He's the guy who co-created Rick and Morty. And he's just talked about during his career, he hasn't always been the best person. And he realizes in a lot of stuff, he had to take a step back and realize I'm not the protagonist of this story. And I think we all do a little better when we're willing to do that. But I'm sorry you're feeling down. I have to be honest with you. I'm feeling down too. I am grateful that we have this podcast because at least it's an outlet for some of my frustrations as to why the world is the way it is. Because people, are you getting an echo?
No.
Okay, if it's just on my end, it's no big deal. But yeah. Just reminding people that this book is available if you want to listen to it before you go around telling people it's like the way, the truth, and the light. Because so far it's pretty violent.
This book has been a constant frustration for me because I feel like a lot of, not all, but a lot of the issues that I've experienced in my personal life come from this. I can't even go past a fucking post right now without something about God or the Bible coming up. And I'm just having I don't know, I'm being affected by it. And I think I'm overcorrecting because I just roll my eyes and keep scrolling. I don't even interact. Like there's this post that's going on Facebook now where it's like, hey, before you start your day, click the ladybug. And like, if you click on it, it starts to go into this spiritual Bible-esque type thing about believing in God. And as soon as I saw that, I was just like, and I saw it a couple times before I even clicked on it, because at first I thought it was spam, but then I kept seeing people post it. So I was just like, all right, and then it was like that. And I was just like, get me the fuck out of here. And I'm trying not to be like that because I want to be open to people's belief systems. I started this podcast with the intent of just being more understanding, and gotta tell you, it's very difficult because it's a lot of bullshit, and I'm just not one for the bullshit.
I wonder, has there ever been a time in your life where you were like really into church?
No, not one time. No.
So I think that's the difference between me and you, because there was a time in my life where I was super into church. Like, ironically enough, I kind of lost my faith when I was running towards it. My whole thing was like, I was raised in this faith, and eventually when you become an adult, you have to cultivate your own relationship with Jesus Christ. So to me, I was like, well, to me, the way I've always tackled stuff is you learn about it, right? Like, I want to learn about this. And so the more I learned about it, the more it was like, oh, this isn't real. Like, it's just like, you just end up learning like this is a myth like any other myth. And of course, there's metaphors and stories you can take from it, but almost everything else is a better source if you want it to have like a strong sense of morality or how you should treat other people.
Excuse me. Yes, I agree. I was never into church as far as wanting to like go. Like I always was just like, even as a child, I remember thinking like my time could be better spent doing something else. Like I want to go watch TV or I want to go play. Why am I here? This is so long. They sing the same songs. It's the same verses over and over and over again.
So you're not
And
soothed by the ritual?
no. And then I get the only thing that made me believe in God at one point, or at least Christian God, was that like I just thought I was going to hell. Or like I thought everything I would do is going to hell, which kind of parallels some things that I've been thinking about in my life now, because it's like when I get around certain people, you voicing how you feel about something, you having an opinion about something, you not going with the masses ostracizes you, which is almost its own sort of hell to be in. And so I find that I don't know, I find that very interesting because
I think you're right, especially here in America where there especially is this insistence on like get rich or die trying. Like we've created an economic heaven and hell instead of just realizing we can just make life good for everybody. Now everyone's kind of doubling down on this idea of like, no, I want to be rich. And like I think that if I wanted to do anything with this podcast, it's be like, hey, you can't claim to be Christian and also be like a multi-level marketing scheme. Like you either are going to, claim like read this stuff, like read what it actually says instead of just what, oh, this is what I've been wanting to say. Sorry, forget everything I was saying before. Dead that. I figured it out why. Well, like, there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of the reasons why, like, Donald, like, Trump really bothers me is he reminds me of a televangelist. And to me, that, like, when people are talking about, like, why he has this appeal that no one else does, it's because he's doing the televangelist stick. And so that's why nothing he says has to make sense. Like, if you ever, are you, like, did you ever watch televangelists?
mm, I mean I've seen them, but I know I've never no. I've seen some, yeah.
So it was on all the time in my grandmother's house, like who lived in Nashville. So when you think about the fact that a lot of those types of people, like the Jimmy Swaggarts and the like Billy Grahams of the world, like they're able to do these horrible things, but because they're like, no, I've got Jesus and I'm selling you Jesus, and you're going to get to go to white heaven if you just believe in what I'm telling you. And so after that, you got like, there's nothing else. Like nobody wants anything on earth after they've been sold white heaven.
I I don't know the words exactly for it, but as somebody who grew up with white aspirations and wanted to be white because that's all you saw, and then now have an aversion to that, it's just it's frustrating. Like it's frustrating to go out in life and just try to just exist, and it feels like your mere existence is a threat to other people. Uh, like just being black, like no, we didn't ask to be black people or whatever. That's just what you are. So like by proxy, coming into this world and somebody just being like, "Oh, you're second or third class citizens," is fucking crazy.
the the craziness of it all, because to me I think that's what bothers me, and what's most upsetting is that we can be as reasonable as we want to, but unless we like scare people, no one really pays attention. Like one of the things that's been bothering me about a lot of the discourse in um like politics right now is just about what the Democrats need to do and what Kamala did wrong and what, the Democrats got wrong. They lost the working people. I think it's very, very important to realize they didn't lose the working people. They lost the racists. To me, like that's what is so scary about this is like this is like for most of Americans, white supremacy is not a deal breaker. To me, that's what was frightening. Because to me, like you're not going to, I don't think there's a big joker for white supremacy. Because we've even seen people have been like, yeah, I'd rather be broke than not have white supremacy. So, because usually money's the, big joker. But for whatever reason, people are like, I don't even want money. I would rather have this false sense of superiority over people that I think are immigrant. Like to me, the idea of deporting immigrants to me, it's like a second. It's like the Trail of Tears. And even Trump said his favorite president was like Andrew Jackson. Like his legacy was like doing the last work of clearing it, like you know, genocide against the Native Americans. So it's like you can call them immigrants if you want to and be like they're illegal immigrants, but one of the truest things I've ever heard is like we didn't cross the border crossed us. Like these people have been here. And it's very similar. That's why like America won't tell the truth about what's going on in Palestine because that's exactly what went on over here. Like we want to clear out these people and make room for these people because we think that's what it says in this book that Billy Graham's talking about every Sunday that we haven't really bothered to really get into because it's kind of boring.
Yeah, I'm just over the hypocrisy of it
Yeah, it's
all.
yeah. Do you remember what we talked about last time?
I have notes.
Cool.
We talked
I can
about,
tell you, I remember being really, really bored
okay.
and like not like yeah, like this seems to be the easiest way to keep people from like exploring stuff because it's definitely not Love is Blind or Love Island
Love Island.
or Baddies or there's a lot of reality TV and I think it's also warping our sense of what human beings should look like.
Mm,
Remember when Jay-Z did that song like Death to Autotune or
hmm.
Autotone? I want to do something similar, but for lace front wigs. Like, can we just get those like up out of here? As a like straight man, what are your thoughts on lace front wigs?
Don't find them appealing.
Do you even know what I'm talking about? Like specifically the type of
I
wigs,
know
or do
them.
you just like generally not like wigs?
No, I think, well, no, I think when it's a really good wig, I'm okay with that. Or extensions, I'm okay with that. Um, but the lace front shit where you gotta like put the cream or whatever down and like put the cap over and then put the cream down and then put, is that it? When you, and
It's
then you
not
put it,
cream, it's glue.
oh, glue. Okay, whatever. The glue,
Yeah,
or not whatever. Thank you for the correction. I'm trying to
you're
be
welcome.
better with my words.
No worries.
Um, yeah, so like no, I'm not a fan of that because I feel like it always ends up showing like in that you don't have hair. But then I've also seen women who don't get lace fronts, but they get those really cheap fucking wigs. They're probably like I don't know, like $100 or so, and they just wear those, and then they start falling apart, and you could see their real hair. So I don't like that either.
And it's so funny though, like all of that also just stems out of white supremacy because black hair texture has been deemed like unfeminine and unattractive. Which I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's that I 100% agree. I also just feel like people are lazy. Like nobody wants to do their hair when they like. I've
I
heard
would
that. I've heard people like, "Oh my god, I have
I
so much hair."
no, go back. Like wig maintenance is a lot of work.
It is, but sometimes, like I said, sometimes people are not
I
even
don't think it's
doing.
laziness. Like it's a ton of work and money. Like to me, that's what I find so kind of like disturbing about it is like how much money and effort is going towards this usually not great look.
Well, I think we can split this into two different sections then, because the people I'm talking about, like, they just don't want to do their hair, and so
Okay.
but they're also
I'll
not
get
wear
that
they're
point.
also not wearing the lace fronts. I've only seen them wear the ones I'm saying, the cheap ones when you could just put over your
Yeah, the shake
hair.
and go. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're like they're wearing
that
it like
shit
a
is
hat.
trash. That
Yeah,
shit
that
is
doesn't
fucking
look great.
trash.
It doesn't look great. Okay. Yeah, but I think I don't know, I would like to see a move because black hair, especially in America, has been kind of a phenomenon. You think about like the Jerry curl. Um,
Well,
I
I like that's
are you
also a form of white supremacy, but
it
okay.
is. And then
Okay.
also permanent relaxers, like having to get your hair relaxed all the time. And now the fact that a lot of those chemicals cause a lot of reproductive issues and cancers um is and fibroids, it's really upsetting. Like there's class action lawsuits against a lot of beauty brands who sold, like it's just crazy. And then people like because it shows that you have money, people still clamor for it. To me, it's like this idea of like expensive poison. I feel like church is like that too. Because if you're going to be the member of like any of these mega churches, you have to have money because they demand 10% of your income to stay a member. So like
Mm.
being a member is sort of a flex. And for people who can't afford it, like it's something to aspire to because it's like, well, I'm filing within God's graces because I'm getting this money, even though Jesus explicitly said, don't chase money.
I don't.
But that's not what televangelists say. Televangelists I mean, are, it's, oof.
To
I
be
can't really in words express how much I do not like televangelists.
to be clear, I don't think there's anything wrong with going and making money and using that as a means to support yourself and your family. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being very successful at doing that. The problem comes when people start hoarding money and making it seem like that's all that money is about. The problem comes where, as a man, you're told shit from my perspective, like you're not a provider because you don't have this high paying job. Like that's fucking crazy to me. But then,
Yeah. And I mean, social media also has everyone's expectations super high as to what it takes to have quote unquote made it. And I don't know. To me, it's
and I have to sit back and listen, think. For all intents and purposes, I've kind of made it. Like
mhm.
I am literally doing all the work that I do is all work that I wanted to do. I don't have to necessarily punch a clock. The only time I do that is for like specific gigs. But like I have a lot of free time and therefore, but I still am able to make enough money to pay my bills and do nice things for myself and others from time to time. That could that be increased? Yes. And I'm working towards that. But like I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in because I know what it's like to have jobs that you fucking hate. Like so many people, I never understood people going to school, getting a degree in something they fucking would never use.
So, okay, this is kind of bringing up something that I've been wanting to ask. Do you think that it's possible to, if you're not happy, like when you're like kind of don't have a ton of money, if you're not able to be happy with like just a little, do you think you'll be happy when you have a lot?
I think it helps because I know there's definitely been episodes before where I've said stuff like all my problems right now are money related, and that was true at the time. But like you can't
I'm
buy
just
people's.
saying like
No, no, I'm
not
not
just
to answer your question.
okay.
But there are also problems that come like money solves some stuff like housing. If you want to go on
I was gonna
trips.
say not Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, like, your basic needs are met, you just don't have, like, a super ton of excess when I'm saying, like, having a little.
Wait, what?
So let's just put it this way, like, if you're having all your needs met and you only have a little bit left over at the end of the month and you're still not happy, do you think you'd be happier if, you have all your needs met, but at the end of the month, you have a lot more money? Like, do you think that actually increases your
Okay.
happiness?
I think slightly.
Okay.
Like it does. I mean, there's studies that people like kind of cap out at a certain amount of. So no, it's only gonna move the needle so much. Because again, if I have a sick family member or I have a relationship that's on the rocks or I have friends that betrayed me, then there's no amount of money that can fix those problems.
Right.
Like I can take that money from my sick family member. I can possibly make sure they have really good medical care, but that doesn't guarantee success.
Right.
If your girlfriend is going to cheat on you, she's still going to cheat on you regardless if you have money or not.
That's
Like
true.
people are going to do what they want to do. So money only solves so much.
It's so crazy to me too, because I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have to like start like preaching Jesus's message. It's like y'all got this messed up. Like chasing money is running away from God. Like that's or chasing wealth, I should say, because it was always explained to me growing up, and I think this is true, that money isn't the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. So, loving the pursuit of money more than, you know, anything else, like putting that in the number one spot in your life, like, which to me is what sort of modern Christianity is now. Like, it's so the opposite of what Jesus was trying to talk about.
Well, and also piggyback off of that. I remember when I was taking script writing in a university, they it was specifically said once by a teacher. He had said somebody had written something about somebody wanting to get money, and he said that's not enough to just get the money. Like, why do they want the money? That's what makes the characters interesting, and I think that's true of people as well. Like we see on social media all the time, people want money. Oh, you got to make money. You're being lazy, whatever. Da 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 da. But everybody's needs, expectations, wants are not the same. So that formula of chasing money is doesn't even really work, and it doesn't work for everyone. Like it's not a one size fits all type of thing.
Yeah, when I think about when I was younger and I did buy more into the idea of like, yeah, once I get enough money, boom, I'll be good. Um, I think about like the way I wanted the money to make me feel. And it's like I wanted to feel worthy. I wanted to feel safe. And I think as human beings, like for one, we have to create our own sense of worthiness. And secondly, I don't know that we're ever truly safe. Like we're obviously safer at sometimes than others, but this idea of that we'll never have to this sort of Disney existence where we never have to worry about anything, um, it's not a real possibility. It's always going to be something. Um, and for me, I think I feel safer when everyone is being taken care of. Like I don't like this idea of like I as long as I'm good, I don't have to worry about anybody else. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, mm, I agree with that very much. It's not. Also, I just
Alrighty.
think it's not fun. Like in long term, it's not fun if you're
Yeah.
the only one that has the money.
Yeah. I hate to see people struggling. Um It really hurts my heart. Like I really do feel like I've had my heart broken. Um just by like so many people being so selfish, and it's so ugly and also stupid. Like I know you're not allowed to like call people stupid, but like
Yes, you are.
we're
What?
all
What do
we're
you
all
mean?
stupid when it comes to stuff. Like I always get chastised, like I always say, like, I think the people who like go for this stuff, it's stupid. Like white supremacy is
Well,
stupid.
maybe like people are not stupid, but the action can be stupid.
Okay, cool. Like, well, I'll put it this way. We're all stupid and we're not smart in every category, right? Like, part of being smart is realizing you're stupid when it comes to certain stuff. And that's when you should listen to an expert. So, as a society, because I don't know, like in America, because we all just think like we're so awesome and everyone's totally equal in every way, like especially because on social media all these voices are coming from the same platform. You're dupe people into thinking like, hey, you're better because you're white, the earth is flat, you don't have to listen to these broads, like, all this stuff where it's like, nah, that's pretty stupid actually. The earth is quite orbital. You do have to listen to these broads, and just because people come in different colors doesn't mean you're better than everyone else.
But they've never had to think about that before. So it's going to take a lot more than what currently is happening.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I feel sad because I'm like, okay. But in the meantime, last time we just listed a whole bunch of names, and this time we're going to list a whole bunch more.
Yeah, essentially. And man,
Yeah. So
it's
I
kind of
think
long.
it is. I think you're starting today. We're doing the new revised standard version of First Chronicles 7.
That is correct.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right.
Descendants of Issachar. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Pul, Jashub, and Shimron. 4. The sons of Tola, Uzi, Rephahiah, Jeriel, Jemai, Ibsam, and Shemul, heads of their ancestral house, namely of Tola, mighty warriors of their generations, their numbers in the days of David being 22,600. The son of Uzi, Israhiah, and the sons of Israhiah, Michael, Obadiah, Joel, and Ishiah, 5, all of them chiefs, and along with them by their generations according to their ancestral houses, were units of the fighting force, 36,000. For they had many wives and sons. Their kindred belonging to all families of Issachar were in all 87,000 mighty warriors enrolled by genealogy. Descendants of Benjamin. The sons of Benjamin, Bela, Becher, and Jediel, 3. The sons of Bela, Esbon, Uziel, Jeremoth, and Eri, 5, heads of ancestral houses, mighty warriors, and their enrollment by genealogies was 22,034. The sons of Becher, Zimmerah, Joash, Eliezer, Elionai, Omri, Jeremoth, Abijah, Anathoth, and Alameth. All these were the sons of Becher. And their enrollment by genealogies according to their generations as heads of their ancestral houses, mighty warriors, was 20,200. The sons of Jediel, Bilhan, and the sons of Bilhan, Jeush, Benjamin, Ehud, Chinani, Zathan, Tarshish, and Ashahar. All these were the sons of Jediel, according to the heads of their ancestral houses, mighty warriors, 17,200, ready for service in war. And Shuppim and Huppim were the sons of Ir, Hushim the son of Aher. Descendants of Naphtali. The descendants of Naphtali, Jaziel, Guni, Jezer, and Shalom. The descendants of Bilhah, descendants of Manasseh, the sons of Manasseh, Azriel, whom his Armenian concubine bore. She bore Micaiah, the father of Gilead, and Micaiah took a wife for Huppim and for Shuppim. The name of this sister was Makkah, and the name of the second was Zelophehad. And Zelophehad had daughters. Makkah, the wife of Machir, bore a son, and she named him Peresh. The name of his brother was Sheresh, and his sons were Ulam and Rechem. The son of Ulam, or Ulam, Bedan. These were the sons of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, and his sister Hameleketh bore Ishhad, Abizer, and Mala. The sons of Shemida were Ahian, Shechem, Likai, and Amiam. Descendants of Ephraim. The sons of Ephraim, Shetila, and Bered his son, Tahath his son, Elidah his son, Tahath his son, Zabad his son, Shetlah his son, and Ezer, and Elid. Now the people of Gath who were born in the land killed them because they came down to raid their cattle, and their father Ephraim mourned many days, and his brothers came to confront him. Ephraim went into his wife, and she conceived and bore a son, and he named him Beriah, because disaster had befallen his house. His daughter was Shira, who built both lower and upper Beth Horon, and Uzan, Shira. Repha was his son, Reshep his son, Tela his son, Tahan his son, Ladan his son, Amihud his son, Elishama his son, Nun his son, Joshua his son. Their possessions and settlements were Bethel and its towns, and eastward Naran, and westward Gezer and its towns, Shechem and its towns, as far as Ayah and its towns, and also along the borders of the Manassites, Beth Shiran and its towns, Tanakh and its towns, Megiddo and its towns, Dor and its towns. In these lived the sons of Joseph, son of Israel. Descendants of Asher, the sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, and their sister Shira. The sons of Beriah, Heber and Malachiel, who was the father of Berzaith. Heber became the father of Japhlet, Shomer, Hotham, and their sister Shua. The sons of Japhlet, Pashak, Bimhal, and Ashvath. These are the sons of Japhlet. The sons of Shemer, Ahi, Roga, Huba, and Aram. The sons of Hilim, his brother, Zophah, Imnah, Shalish, and Amal. The sons of Zophah, Sua, Harnapir, Shual, Beri, Imrah, Bizer, Had, Shema, Shilsha, Ithran, and Bera. The sons of Jether, Jephuneh, Bishpa, and Arah. The sons of Ulah, Arah, Hamiel, and Rizia. All these were men of Asher, heads of ancestral houses, select mighty warriors, chief of the princes. Their number enrolled by genealogies for service in war was 36,000 men.
It was actually 26,000 men.
Oh, did I say
You
the
said
wrong thing?
36.
Oh yeah, I can't.
That's
I was,
okay. You just tripped up the finish line. You did a great job. That was a slog.
yeah.
But yeah, to me, this is just we're just listing Jacob's kids. Like Jacob had like two wives and two slaves that he had the 12 tribes of Israel was with. So we've got the different houses here: Issachar, Benjamin, Naphtali. Manasseh, I think, was Joseph, because it's the half tribe of Manasseh, because he had been sold to the Egyptians and got an Egyptian wife and came back.
Mhm.
And Ephraim, and then just a reminder that women weren't really a big part of this. They didn't get much of a say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, they did not.
Yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. How was what did you take anything from that?
I thought it was interesting. I think trying to go back to it. There's something in here about the sons of they killed his whole family or something, and so he had to make another
Oh
one.
yeah, they were raiding
Yeah,
was it in Gaza? They were raiding their cattle and they weren't having that shit.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's always kind of been the rule. You steal cattle, we kill you. Because you have to think that's their livelihood, man. Like, but I also think too, like, I always thought the Lord was supposed, like, the whole deal was he was supposed to provide. So remember when he used to send down manna? Do you remember that?
yes, but I don't
Yes.
remember what manna was. Is
It was like some bread from heaven God would
bread?
sent down during the Exodus.
Oh, I was thinking milk, but bread, yes.
Yeah, it was well it was I feel like quail and manna, like there'd be anyway. Oh, but yeah, they kind of just slid that in there. It's like, yeah, they went and stole some cattle, so the people rose up and killed them. And he had to mourn and stuff.
Yes.
That's sad, I guess, but I can't say
Well,
that.
also God again. I just if this person is all seeing, all knowing, all powerful, you could have just created a world where everything is plentiful. And I don't know, maybe there's an argument to be made that if there was no suffering, then people could never become better versions of themselves. But does the suffering have to equate to people dying?
Well, my whole thing is like people have to suffer to become improved, but why not just make better versions of us? Like we're so
Yeah.
very flawed. So,
But then I don't that puts me into a whole thing, because then okay, if we were better versions of ourselves, if we were the best versions of ourselves and we had no problems and no conflict, wouldn't that, I mean, we talk about heaven being its own sort of hell because
of the
you're just
monotony.
yeah of the month. So wouldn't that be the case in what we're talking about now? So what
I
then
mean,
which
not necessarily. I think the what sticks out to me about it is if we had a way to have less suffering, at least amongst each other, because I feel like the universe in general, like it just wasn't made for us. You know what I mean? Like it's so expansive and large. Like we're obviously here, but just the scale of it all makes me feel like, okay, that's not really for us. We can really only live here. So why not just, be here for each other and be nice to each other since, we've got all the weather tries to kill us sometimes. And I don't think it's because it's mad at us. It's just we're very, very, we're very feeble. Like we're very small. Like we need protection to survive in this world. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like we could just be nicer to each other. We don't have to have all this unnecessary suffering. Like I feel like our lives do get better when we don't have a bunch of suffering.
Yeah, I agree. I need to remind myself of that as well. To
And
be
just because we can't get down to zero suffering doesn't mean we shouldn't try to mitigate suffering.
No, I agree. And also, yes, I agree.
Yay, we did it. Okay, so I guess we're gonna do Chronicles 8, the descendants of Benjamin. And I feel like Benjamin was one of Rachel's sons. So I think that might be why he gets like a super long chapter too, because he was Joseph's favorite. Like, or not Joseph, Joseph and Benjamin were Jacob's favorites because Rachel was so hot.
She was hot.
Yeah, and that's who he really wanted to marry. But then he had to marry the sister Leah as well to strike the deal with Laban because you don't ask women if they want to get married, you ask their fathers because they're property.
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie.
Descendants of Benjamin. Benjamin became the father of Bela, his firstborn, Ashbel the second, Aharon the third, Noha the fourth, Rapha the fifth, and Bela had sons Adar, Jerah, Abihud, Abishua, Naaman, Ahua, Jerah, Shephathan, and Huram. These are the sons of Ehud. They were heads of ancestral houses of the inhabitants of Geba, and they were carried into exile to Mahathath. Naaman, Ahijah, and Jerah, that is, Haglam, who became the father of Uzzah and Ahihud, and Shahariam, had sons in the country of Moab after he had sent away his wives Husham and Bara. He had sons by his wife Hodash, Jobab, Zibab, Mesha, Malcham, Jeuz, Shachia, and Mirma. These were sons and two sons, heads of ancestral houses. He also had sons by Husham, Abitub, and Elphal, the sons of Elphal, Aber, Misham, and Shemit, who built Ono and Lod with its towns. And Beriah and Shema, they were heads of ancestral houses of the inhabitants of Ajoalon, who put to fight the inhabitants of Gath, and Ahio, Shashak, and Jermoth. Jebediah, Arid, Elder, Michael, Ishval, and Joab were sons of Beriah. Zebediah, Meshullam, Hizki, Hibmiran, Isaiah, and Joab were the sons of Elphath. Jachim, Zikri, Zabdi, Elinai, Zeothai, Elel, Adai, Beriah, and Shimrath were the sons of Shimei. Ishpan, Eber, Elia, Adon, Zichri, Hana, Ilhan, Elam, Abdullah, Ibteth, Lab, Billah were the sons of Shishai. Shimrai, Shurai, Alathai, Jerai, Elijah, Jerai, sons of Joram. These were the heads of ancestral households according to the generations chief. These lived in Jerusalem. Gilead, the father of Gibeon, lived in Gibeon, and the name of his wife Maacah, his firstborn son Adon, and Zeruj, Kishbal, Nadar, Edor, Iha, Jecher, and Melech became the father of Shimei. Now these also live opposite the kindred Jerusalem. The kindred near became the father of Kish. Kish of Saul, Saul of Jonathan, Malchiah, Shabbath, Ishbal, and the sons of Jonathan were Meribab. Meribab became the father of Makkah, sons of Makkah, Pithon, Melchach, Teriah, and Azaz became the father of Jeduiah. Jeduiah became the father of Almaz, Azmath, and Zerujah. Zerujah became the father of Moaz. Moaz became the father of Bela. Ray, Rapha was his son. Eliash, his son. Aziel, his son. Ajabel had 6 sons, and these were their names: Azrikam, Bochura, Shishmael, Shiria, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were all the sons of Aziel, the sons of his brother Ishik, Ulam, his firstborn, Jeshua, the second, Epheleth, the third. The sons of Ulam were mighty warriors, archers, having many children and grandchildren, 150. All these were Benjaminites.
Such an extensive history.
Mm-hmm.
Anything out of that?
Well, I remember seeing Saul and Jonathan and remembering how I think I even made this point before when we were read the story of Saul because they pointed out how good looking he was and he was a Benjaminite, which makes sense because Rachel was so hot.
Okay. Yes.
It's just funny to me. The Bible is just like, hey, you guys should know they're pretty hot.
Well, I mean, I think attractiveness plays a big role into how we interact with things. Funny enough, I was listening to the Rory and Maul podcast
I like
yesterday.
them better than Joe Budden.
I definitely like them better than Joe Budden. They still do a lot of toxic shit on there though that I don't
Sure,
get
it's
down
two
with.
dudes.
But also equally, I mean, they even have a woman on there, Damaris, and I don't be agreeing with some of the shit she be saying either. But yeah, they were talking. Rory and Ma were talking about on the podcast. A guy had called in and said he's dating a girl who he doesn't find her all that attractive, but he's conflicted because he really fucks with her personality. And like they've been having sex, but they've been having sex enough to where it's at the point where he needs to make a decision on if he's going to be in a relationship with her or like let it go. And they discussed that, and I was like, man, I've been in that spot before.
You said you've been in that situation a lot before?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I've been in it. The most prominent version of that was my last relationship.
Well, I mean, um, do you think like would you rather like rewire yourself so that attractiveness isn't that important, or would you rather
Yes,
just find okay?
yes, yeah. I think that. But
Well, I didn't give you the other option.
what was the other option?
Or just find somebody super hot that you're also like attracted to personality wise, but also knowing that looks go down over time.
This is true. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that and they got into that because that's where the diamond in the rough is always the girl that you find hot and that you also love her personality. Like that's like very difficult to capture, I think.
But even capturing it, you don't get to have it forever because she's not going to stay that hot forever.
It doesn't to love and lost is to better than to never have loved at all.
Sure. I'm just saying, like, what's the long-term plan for when you don't find her hot anymore and then she's just this person
But
like,
that's where the personality steps in versus if you were just with a girl who
so do you think the future version of yourself won't care that you're not attracted to her anymore?
I cannot speak with full certainty, but I think personally where I'm at now, looks don't just get it done. Like that's not because I've been around very attractive women, dated attractive women, and they annoyed the shit out of me. But I've also this is so fucked up. I think the worst, this is me going on full guy banter right now. I think it's very interesting when the people who are like just medium attractiveness have the minds. I don't even want to say that because it's gonna sound disgusting. Yeah, yeah,
You don't like when people act hotter than they actually are?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I don't like that. And that to clarify though, I think that gets confused sometimes with you don't deserve to be treated with respect and love. Like I think no matter what you look like,
well,
you
what
deserve
about
to be.
people who used to be super hot and they're used to be treated a certain way, and now that their hotness is diminishing, they don't
That's
like they
fair,
just
but that's
feel
not I'm talking about a specific type. The specific type of person I'm talking about is a person who has never been held accountable because most of the time dudes just wanted to fuck them. And so
sure,
they just
yeah.
got yes anded their whole life. That's who I'm talking about. Not the woman, like the woman who used to be whatever. That's a different situation.
But okay, so you're just not seeing it for the mid chicks being treated like baddies.
I think that's where my so to be very specific, in my last relationship, that this is where I was going with. That's where the struggle was
Okay.
because I only thought that she was like average amount of attractiveness, but I did fuck with her personality. But in my immature ways, part of me kind of felt like, can I do better? And then,
Yeah.
and then, whereas, yes, you can do better. Finding that do better is sometimes harder. So when I listened to this person's when they called in on the podcast, I was like, oh, he's at the crossroads where I was at. And I really wanted to be like, yo, you need to really think about this because what you don't want to do is what I did is make that person feel like you're not hot enough. And then you lose out on that person. And then and then you think you could do better and you end up not doing better and be like, damn, oh girl was actually, I was actually cool. Like I should have just,
So wait, you want your ex back?
no,
Okay.
I don't. But like at
That's
the,
what that sounded like.
oh, I don't want my ex back because I was going to also add this part. There were other things in there, religious differences, value system differences, all of that stuff that makes it like where we still wouldn't have been compatible long term, but just taking the hotness part of it, I could have done better in that. In that,
Okay. I'm just I don't know. I think
you've said to me yourself, you would not want to be with a guy who didn't think you were hot.
yeah, for sure, but I think for everybody it's different, right? Like I always said like I think even with the relationship you're talking about, I told you like it's kind of unfair to her because she deserves to be with someone who thinks she's hot. Because that
But it's
person's
not that
out
I didn't
there.
think she was hot. It's just I didn't think she was the hottest.
Well, someone deserve that, but that's the point I'm making. Like she deserves to be with someone who she makes that like who gets that feeling from a person where they're like this she's so
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
sexy, like she's so bad. Like they deserve that energy from their intimate partner. But I think a big part
yeah, I
of
feel like most
wanting
dudes don't
wait, wait,
live with
wait.
that though.
I'm just saying,
That
like, but a big part of understanding and wanting that energy is knowing that it doesn't go on forever. Like that energy of, that um physical attractiveness, like keeping that ember going long term isn't really a thing. So that's why, like, for
that's where
relationships,
the
it's just more
personality comes in.
right, like, why it's more so what were Roy and Mouse saying?
Uh I don't I don't remember specifically. Um
Okay, T.
sorry. I mean off the top of my head cuz uh they were debating it like this, but I don't know, we can link it in here. Like
Yeah, I could stand to watch
ultimately it
the
comes
clip.
down to like yeah, that they were more joking on the fact and then they started getting on the sense of like sometimes you'll be with the hot girl and her personality sucks, which I've experienced that. Or you'll get with the hot girl and her sex sucks, which that is also a thing. But then like the ugly girls always seem to have really good sex,
Because they're
which
present and grateful. Like, there's nothing like enthusiasm, you know?
yes, yes,
So, I think
yes.
that's why, it can all be very elusive. I don't know, it just kind of makes me think of, like to bring it back to the Bible since that's what we're supposed to be talking about, and we're talking about all these descendants who had to have come they all came out of women. So
Well, they came out of
and
men first, but okay.
ooh, good point. But ultimately, the finished product all came out of a woman. And
Fair.
so the idea that probably the majority of the sex wasn't really consensual. It's just part of, your womanly duties you're expected to perform as a, proper woman in this society. It just reminds me of it being kind of a bummer that people want to go back to this. Like instead of having, and like we just said, like enthusiasm is such a great part of the sexual experience. So
Mhm.
just having a bunch of perfunctory, like, I guess I got to do this sex is, kind of a bummer because another word for that is rape.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of women giving you pity sex.
Yeah, that's a
So
bummer
so
for
actually
everybody.
it's a turn off to me.
And I think I don't know, it's just such a, I don't know. To me, the alternative is so much better. Like, why not just, I guess people don't like doing the work because, like, no matter what happens,
No,
like, you have,
yes, that's the entire theme of today. People don't like doing the
okay.
work when it comes to hair. People don't like doing the work when it comes to politics. People don't like doing the work when it comes to race relations. People
When
don't
it
like
comes
doing
to
the
reading
work
the Bible.
when it comes to reading the Bible. People don't like doing the work.
Yeah,
It's
they
hard.
don't.
Things
It
are hard.
is. They
And we have
are.
so many things now that can make it seemingly more convenient for you and or alleviate you of that hardship.
For
And
sure.
I've had to have that conversation with myself lately
No
of
doubt.
the times that I'm in have been hard, but
Yes, they
the only
have.
way to level up is to actually stop trying to like live in that hardship and then s- do the work to get to a better place. And that comes from, not escapism things all over the time.
I mean, I don't, you preaching. I mean, TK's just in here preaching today. Oh, can I also say something too that's just bothered me and just sort of the, our America Christian nationalist sphere?
Okay.
Freaking Joel Olstein. Like, cause since I don't really do the church stuff, I really don't even know what they be talking about now. You know what I mean? Cause it changes over time. So I just happened to be at my grandmother's and turned TV on. That was just automatically the channels on. Cause that's the other thing in these old folks' homes. All they do is just have these televangelists on there. Um,
Mm.
to me, which is kind of sad. But anyway, because a lot of these people send them their money because these are the only people talking to them. But anyway, so Joel Osteen's up there talking, and he's giving some message, I guess, to housewives about how don't worry, just when you're doing all the housework and raising the children, and it seems like nobody sees you, God sees you. God sees you down there working, doing
Oh
all
my
that message. And I was
gosh.
like, ooh, I was like, there's something very ugly about that. What do you? I mean, I could say what I don't like about it, but do you want to comment on that word?
Of God seeing the women who are doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Um,
Even though no one else is acknowledging it.
I think it's gaslighty, honestly.
Ooh,
I think it's I
I
don't
wasn't even gonna say that. That was harsh. Go
I think
ahead.
I mean, yeah, like people want to be acknowledged for their work that they put in. Just a simple thank you or kind word like that goes a long way. And I've only can say this because I've failed at doing this so much with women in my life, with other people in my life. So it's like, yeah, people want that because a lot of the feedback has always been, damn, you didn't acknowledge me enough or you didn't appreciate me enough for this thing. And so, yes, like that, just what is it? I feel like church tries to do this really exaggerated version of delayed gratification. And
Maybe that's why the edge lords like it so much.
the who?
Edge lords.
What is that?
Oh, you never heard that.
I've
Interesting.
heard the
Like
term, but I don't know what it means.
So it's kind of like the little incel group. Basically, like, like edging in the sexual sense is when you never let yourself
Yeah,
bust.
that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, so edgelords are kind of these constant, like, yeah, yeah, like you just always want to, I don't know, like, yeah, just keep delaying that gratification, but at some point you need to bust.
Okay.
Yeah. But just
Yeah.
like your the example you're giving where it's like, yeah, don't worry, your reward's coming, your reward's coming. But you know
Yeah,
who else says that? A pimp.
that is true. Pimps do say that. And so
Hmm.
I don't know. We have one more chapter though, or one more
You
verse.
do. I'm done. That was awful. I felt terrible saying all those names. I don't even know that many of my own ancestors.
All right, let's power through this. First Chronicles 9.
So all Israel was enrolled by genealogies, and these are written in the book of the king of Israel. And Judah was taken into exile in Babylon because of their unfaithfulness. Now the first to live again in their possessions and their towns were Israelites, priests, Levites, and temple servants, inhabitants of Jerusalem after the exile. And some of the people of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh lived in Jerusalem. Uthai, son of Amihud, son of Omri, son of Imri, son of Bani, from the sons of Perez, son of Judah, and of the Shilaites, Asaiah, and the firstborn of his sons, of the ones of Zerah, Joel, and their kin, 690, of the Benjaminites, Salu, son of Meshulam, son of Hodaviah, son of Manasseh, or Hasanuah, Ibniah, son of Jeroham, Elah, son of Uzi, son of Mikri, and the Meshulam, son of Shephatiah, son of Reuel, son of Ibnijah, and their kindred according to their generations, 956. And these were the heads of the families according to their ancestral houses, priestly families. Of the priests, Jedediah and Jehoiarib, Jakim, and Azariah, son of Hilkiah, son of Meshulam, son of Zadok, son of Meraiah, son of Ahitub, the chief officer of the house of God, Hadiah, son of Jeroham, son of Pashur, son of Malchijah, and Masai, son of Adiel, son of Zerah, son of Meshullam, son of Meshithemeth, son of Immer, besides their kindred, heads of their ancestral houses, 1,760 qualified for the work of the service of the house of God. Levitical families. Of the Levites, Shemaiah, son of Hashab, son of Azarkam, son of Hashkabiah, son of the sons of Merari, and Bakbakar, Haresh, Galal, and Mattaniah, son of Micah, son of Zikri, son of Asaph, and Obadiah, son of Shemaiah, son of Galal, son of Jeduthun, and Berechiah, son of Asa, son of Elkanah, who lived in the villages of the Nephtophathites. The gatekeepers were Shalom, Akub, Talman, Ahaman, and their kindred. Shalom was the chief stationed previously in the king's gate on the east side. These were the gatekeepers of the camp of the Levites. Shalom, son of Kor, son of Ebiasaph, son of Korah, and his kindred of his ancestral house, the Korahites, were in charge of the work and the service, guardians of the thresholds of the tent, as their ancestors had been in charge of the camp of the Lord, guardians of the entrance. And the Phinehas, son of Eleazar, was chief over them in former times. The Lord was with them. Zechariah, son of Meshelemiah, was gatekeeper at the entrance of the tent of meeting. All these, who were chosen as gatekeepers at the thresholds, were 212. They were enrolled by genealogies in their villages. David and the seer Samuel established them in their office of trust. So they and their descendants were in charge of the gate of the house of the Lord, that is the house of the tent, as guards. The gatekeepers who were on the four sides, east, west, north, and south, and their kindred who were in their villages were obliged to come in every 7 days in turn to be with them. For the four chief gatekeepers, who were Levites, who were in charge of their chambers and their treasures of the house of God, and they would spend the night near the house of God, for on them lay the duty of watching, and they had charge of opening it every morning. Some of them had charge of the utensils of the service, for they were required to count them when they were brought in and taken out. Others of them were appointed over the furniture, over all the holy utensils, also over the choice flour, wine, the oil, the incense, and the spices. Others of the sons of the priests prepared the mixing of the spices, and Matthiah, one of the Levites, the firstborn of Shalom the Korahite, was in charge of making the flat cakes. And some of their kindred of the Kohathites had charge of the rolls of bread to prepare them each for Sabbath. Now these are the singers, the heads of ancestral houses of the Levites, living in the chambers of the temple free from other service, for they were on duty day and night. These were heads of ancestral houses of the Levites according to their generations. These leaders lived in Jerusalem. The family of King Saul. In Gibeon lived the father of Gibeon, Jael, and the name of his wife was Makkah. His firstborn was Abdon, Ben Zer, Kish, Baal, Mir, Nadab, Gedor, Ahio, Zechariah, and Miklah. And the Miklah became the father of Shemim, and these were also lived opposite their kindred in Jerusalem with their kindred. Mir became the father of Kish, Kish of Saul, Saul of Jonathan, now Chisua, Abinadab, and Eshbal, and the son of Jonathan was Meribal, and Meribal became the father of Micah. The sons of Micah, Pithon, Melech, Tariah, and Ahaz. And Ahaz became the father of Jerah, and Jerah of Elameth, Asmaveth, and Zimri. And Zimri became the father of Mosa. Mosa became the father of Biniah, and Repahiah was his son. Eliasah his son, and Eziel his son. Azel and his sons. Azel had 6 sons, and these are their names.
Azrikam, Bakaru, Ishmael, Deariah, Obadiah, and Hanan. These were the sons of Azel. Ooh, that was a lot.
That was. I mean, now we know.
No, no.
Oh,
Oh,
shit. Hold on. I'm
what
not going
is
to make the
going?
same mistake. So you may have noticed I have like a new setup for recording. I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know if I told you my son moved back in.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. So yeah, he moved back in last week. So now I'm back in my room recording. So I have to get used to like what moves I can and can't make. And I might need to get like a longer headset too, because that's what's happening. Like I'm moving and the headset's tipping my laptop over.
Is the laptop on top of pillows or something or clothes?
It's weird because like my laptop, I don't really have a dock for it. Like I had to get a replacement computer. This is a long, boring story about how I had to replace my computer last year, and the Microsoft Surface has a
Yeah.
super weird dock that's almost as expensive as the computer itself. So instead, I got like a dock so I can a little tiny one so I can plug in and aftermarket keyboard. So basically, it's just not super stable. I have to prop it up in a weird way.
Okay.
Yay! But all that aside, we still have so much more to go. Haven't really even made a dent in the Bible. A couple things in case people, it's your first episode. Hi, Kat here again. Um, the whole reason we're doing this is because it's just to kind of point out the Bible isn't this magic document that, the televangelists tell us it is. It's just a book, and it got popular because it was the first book to be widely printed once the printing press was invented in Germany. So the Germans were super religious, so they decided the first book to be printed should be the Bible. The Catholic Church was very against that, and that led to the Protestant Reformation, and pretty much to where we are now. Like they're still fighting over who gets to translate this, who gets to be in power, like who gets to be the priests and who gets to be the slaves. So and I just disagree with all of it.
Well said.
Thank you.
I will say next time, we will be talking not just about names, but looks like we're getting some stories back, albeit looks like some of the same fucking stories we've read before.
Yeah,
But
like from Samuel and Kings, but we'll see like what this is obviously a different author of the same story. So at least maybe we'll get like some more details, or this will be like the director's cut.
at this point, I just feel like I'm reading an interpretation of something that's like a Jackie Brown-esque storytelling. For those who don't
Hmm.
know, Jackie Brown is a film directed by Quentin Tarantino, but in that film, he
Starring
takes a
Pam Grier.
starring Pam Grier, one of the goats. Um,
Yeah.
she in that film, there's a scene where it's told from different perspectives, and so I just feel like that's pretty much what's going on here. Is we keep
I
reading
always
the
like
same
stories like
story.
that.
Yeah, it's great when the story is actually good.
Yeah. Well, and yes, yes. I
Another
think
movie that does that is, I think, Vantage Point, which
you know
has
who should do a Bible epic? Like direct one? Quentin Tarantino, because he loves blood, and there's so much freaking blood in this story. So I think he'd probably do a really good job at being like, yeah, make sure you see the Amalekites bleed out.
he doesn't strike me as the religious type.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's why I think he'd be good at it, because you'd really just like give an honest interpretation. I think it's fair to say that what has been people have represented as the Bible's message hasn't been very sincere. Like it's very much been put through a lens of like, hey, this is the good book, so stop being such a slut.
Hmm. Yeah.
That to me has
Side
been the most the messaging.
sidebar. Two things. Quentin Tarantino
Hmm.
made me think of this. One, because of his beef with Spike Lee. But did you hear Denzel Washington is only doing a handful of films and then he's going to retire?
I did. I heard he's going to be in Black Panther 3.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I think that's great. Like everybody should get to retire when they want to.
yeah, I mean, he's certainly deserved it. Also, Have you ever seen the film Bamboozled?
I have.
Just watched that for the first time this past
What
weekend.
did you think?
Very low budget, first of all. And I don't know if that's just the style that like he was going for, but I was not necessarily a fan of the low budgetness of it. I was actually surprised because it's a Spike Lee film, and I was like, Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X, all these look so much better than this film. This shit looks like it was shot on a VCR recorder, or not. What is it? A VHS recorder from back in the day. Like the quality of it was so terrible.
Hmm.
And
It's
maybe
funny.
the bird.
I haven't seen it in a long time, so you might be right. I saw it like when I was really, really young. So I have to say I haven't seen it with adult eyes. I remember really enjoying it because I remember thinking like he's right. If they brought back minstrel shows, that would be the most popular show on television.
I think the idea of it is cool. I think it was not executed in the way that it could have been.
I think it was, and it's so funny too because they tried to cancel him over that film. I remember this was the thing, like people criticize Jada Pinkett about a lot of stuff, but this was one of the things that irritated me about her. She refused to do promotion for the film
Why
because
be in the fucking film?
it was getting so much backlash. And I was like, okay, like everyone was coming after the act, like to me, like it was the most offensive. And once again, this seems to me whenever you criticize white supremacy, they I promise you the only thing that white supremacy hates more than a nigger is a nigger lover. Like anytime you do anything to kind of speak up about what white supremacy is, like how violent it is, how ugly it really is, they're waiting for that ass. I really do feel like that's why Louis C.K. got canceled because he was like one of the few white comedians who made jokes about white supremacy. They don't give a fuck about women. We know that now. Like it's like, no, Louis C.K. is such a monster. I was like, y'all don't give a fuck. Like y'all just like elected a rapist. So and Louis C.K. never raped.
No, but
He had a masturbation kink.
America has shown you who they were by voting. So
Yes, yes, they have.
that's
So
why I'm not surprised, nor I don't know. We just
but
have to go.
I'll just say this though. I enjoyed Bamboozled. I think the only thing I didn't like the ending. Well, spoilers from Bamboozled when they kill Savion.
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
I didn't like that part.
Well, I
But
don't
like I
even
said,
care. I didn't even
but my
care.
whole thing is I'm already making my own little show. I bet a bunch of people don't like my show either. So like, Spike Lee, he can make the movies that he wants. He obviously has a very unique lens in which he creates film. It's funny to me too, because he doesn't like Quentin Tarantino.
I know that's what made me think of him.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. But I like
Which
both of them.
rightfully so, because I feel like, and it's a fair criticism. I feel like Quentin Tarantino, in movies that I've seen with him, when he uses the word nigger, he uses it at a moment where I feel like, oh, you didn't actually have to say it there. Example would be in Pulp Fiction when Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta go to Quentin Tarantino's house. These are not the names of the characters, but I'm just giving. They go to his house. They're covered in blood. They accidentally just killed the dude that was riding with them. And Quentin Tarantino's character is like, "Oh, you got a dead nigger in your car," and it's like you didn't have to say that. Like he just
No,
to
yeah,
me
that you're right there. Yes.
that's something that's always annoyed me about him. Outside of that, I think he's a fabulous filmmaker, but he has moments in his films where he does that shit, and I'm like, and that's what
Yeah.
Spike Lee called him out about. It was like, why are you saying it?
Yeah, right.
And
That was super
Quintino
unnecessary.
fucking white privilege, he got defensive and was like, well, it's just a word. It's just a word. And it's like,
And to be fair, that was something Louis C.K. used to do too, until I don't know
so
who
did
got
Joe
through to
Rogan.
him. Yeah, like people have to a lot of times learn that lesson. So, and
I've been around people, and it's crazy because I've been in situations where like I'll be around white people and they said it. And it's like,
yeah,
I always have to see, this is what I feel like. I don't. talking about the Lord not giving you credit or the Lord seeing you, because I feel like I do not get enough credit for these moments. From where I'm from, you would get smacked the fuck up for saying that. But because I'm trying not to be that person, I try to educate people, or I try to be like, yo, please don't use that or whatever, because it's not cool. And I've been lucky enough to be around people who are like, oh, my bad. All right, whatever. Fine.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, just don't say it. Like, that's all.
Yeah.
Just don't say it
Yeah.
unnecessarily.
It's yeah. You have to think of it and keep in mind too, as Black people, we can't say it around every Black person. Like, I think that might help people who consider themselves white with the N-word. Like, I can't use, like, for instance, around my parents or like elders, you know what I mean? Like, they don't like that. Like, you really do have, it takes a real sense of familiarity to use that word. And if you don't have that, then it's wildly inappropriate. So even me as an uppity negress, I can't say the N-word in all contexts either. So I share your struggle, white people.
Fuck that. Don't say that shit. Don't say that shit around me. If it's not
right. But I'm just saying every
necessary,
Black person has the right to put up that boundary, even with other Black people. Like, even, you know what I'm just saying? Like, you know, the Black people you can't say the N-word around.
yeah, and I respect it.
So, like, yeah, so just those are the rules of the N-word. So for white people who know, they know just like, I probably just shouldn't say it because I don't, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say it because there are Black people who aren't bothered by it. That's their business. I am. So you have to, you know, move accordingly. And since I know it bothers Black people to hear it come out of my mouth too, I'm cool with
Like,
that.
Black
Like,
people
I'm,
that aren't bothered by a white person saying the N-word.
yeah, there's a whole episode.
That's so fucking crazy. To
That
me,
was the
that is
episode of, oh, we have to watch that now. That was on the episode of the Carmichael show where
that
he
is
had,
the wildest shit. Like, no, that
oh
would never
yeah.
fucking fly.
I mean,
But my thing
that's
is
a
this,
whole
like,
nother, my guy, I gotta go to work. We gotta do this another day.
no,
We
I'm
gotta wrap
sorry.
this shit up, yo.
Silly you for having a job. What are you, poor?
I am. I have to work for a living. It's so embarrassing.
biblebreakdownpodcast@gmail.com. Your body belongs to you, baby. That's a whole nother episode. Be curious, not judgmental, and be patient. Be kind, not nice. Peace.